All right, welcome back. So, if you've ever been staring at your phone and wondering if your friend read the text message and then wondered, I wonder if they know I'm looking at my phone. Do they know that I'm standing here and I'm waiting for them to reply? Do they know I'm watching the little bubbles pop up every time they start to type? Just FYI, if you're that person and you're watching for the bubbles, you might have anxious attachment. Anxious attachment is one of the four core attachment styles. And this person is often categorized as the overgiver. This is somebody who defines their worthiness based on what they can do for other people. Anxious attachment is like having a relationship with both your partner and your nervous system. And your nervous system is always the jealous one. Oh, nervous attachment. Nervous. That sums it up perfectly. Wasn't that great? Before we get into anxious attachment itself, I'm going to share a couple of quick attachment facts with you so that you can understand why attachment is so important. So attachment forms before the age of 1. By the age of 1 year old, most babies are already starting to show their own attachment style. Now, that's not to say that your nervous system and your attachment style can't change, because it can. If something happens later in childhood or even through relationships that you are engaging in as an adult, these things can change and they can cause you to have a different attachment style over the years. Studies suggest that about 50% of adults have a secure attachment. I personally think that's bullshit, but whatever. I'm not the one that does the research. So 50% of adults roughly have a secure attachment. The rest of us fall into anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. And it's roughly like 25% anxious, 20% avoidant, and 5% disorganized. Quick overview. Anxious attachers are crave closeness and reassurance. They are the refreshers of the world. And what I mean by that is close your text messages, wait 30 seconds, open it back up. Did they see my message? Did they respond? Are they typing? Close my messages. Open it back up 30 seconds later. Did they see my message? Did they respond? Are they typing back yet? Anxious attachers crave closeness and reassurance, constantly seeking that out in themselves and in their partner. And it's a lot of work. Yeah. Avoidant attachers value independence and fear of being smothered. They're the I love you, now please go home kind of people. These people have grown attached to knowing that they can't rely on anybody else, and so they've learned how to do it all for themselves. Disorganized attachers crave intimacy, but they also fear it. This is the push-pull of champions. Like, I love you, I need you, please don't leave me. Wait, you actually like me and want to keep me? Never mind, I'll break up with you before you can hurt me. That is disorganized attachment in one quick sentence. And then you have the secure attachers. These are the unicorns, comfortable with closeness and space, but they don't like drama. It's important for you to know that your attachment style, I think I already said it, is not fixed, so it can change. You can be anxious and you can earn secure. So the last final, and what I like to call the gold standard for all of us who are not lucky enough to be born in a secure attachment style, is what we call earned secure attachment. It is proof that you, through practice and practicality, have taught yourself how to react from a secure standpoint. It does not mean that you have to be perfect. You just have to practice. That's how you get to that secure attachment. So, in the first episode, the master episode of this mini series, we talked about sibling archetypes and how they feed into attachment. Today, we're going to zoom in on anxious attachment and how people who suffer from this kind of attachment often burn out and end up losing relationships because they are so determined to prove themselves that they become exhausted and then they lose the relationship anyway. So, what is anxious attachment? So anxious attachment happens when your central nervous system is tuned in to abandonment. So that is when the amygdala is constantly scanning for evidence to support the internal belief, the ingrained belief that you're going to be abandoned. The core fear, if you were to put it in a sentence, is I will be left. You're going to abandon me. You're going to leave. The way that people with anxious attachment often will cope with this strategy is by believing if I do enough, give enough, prove enough, they'll stay and they'll love me. Wholly inaccurate and also exhausting. So it leads to insecurity where the individual with anxious attachment is constantly giving, and they're constantly living in this place where they're afraid that their partner or friends are going to leave them. So they're seeking reassurance and closeness. But the problem is not that their friends and family aren't giving them the reassurance or the closeness that they desire, but it's that they are living in the loop, which constantly feeds that anxiousness and allows them to not calm down. It's like when you're anxiously attached, your nervous system is basically like a conspiracy theorist. It fills every single blank or unknown with, eek, help me, I'm being abandoned. And then your central nervous system flips the fuck out. So, what are some examples of your nervous system getting hijacked by your anxious attachment? So there's the text spiral. So your partner doesn't text you back for 2 hours. Your body says abandonment is imminent. Your chest tightens, your palms get sweaty, and suddenly you're rereading every single word you sent like it's a breakup prophecy. The tone terror. They said okay instead of okay with a heart. Your stomach drops, your heart races, and you're Googling, what does it mean when somebody just says okay? The sleep sabotage. You're exhausted, but your central nervous system says, what if they change their mind about you overnight? Now you're wide awake, staring at the ceiling and rehearsing imaginary rejection speeches. Oh, the 3-dot panic. When you see the typing bubbles, then they disappear. Suddenly, they hate you. They met somebody else. They're moving to Bali. All in the course of 30 seconds because you think that they should have responded by now. The goodbye glitch. They leave you without giving you a big enough hug, or maybe they sound a little flat on the phone. Your nervous system goes, cue the panic. This relationship is over. Start drafting your apology text messages now for the crimes that you didn't even commit. Oh, man, going through these. Whew. The overfunction reflex. Your partner seems pretty quiet today. So your body goes into autopilot. Cook for them, clean for them, shower them with compliments, make them feel beautiful, wonderful, absolutely gorgeous. Because after all, if they're feeling off, they must be second doubting your relationship. Second guessing your relationship. The calendar compulsion. They say, we should hang out soon. Your brain immediately opens Google Calendar and plots 37 possible dates and times. Their soon equals your, it must be confirmed in writing by tomorrow. And finally, the future flash mob. One date goes well and suddenly your nervous system is picking out baby names, mapping holidays, and pre-planning the inevitable breakup, all before dessert even arrives. All of these different glitches and compulsions, if they seem normal for you, I hate to break it to you, you might be a little anxious. And we often see these demonized in social media or demonized in movies and TV shows, right? But the thing we have to understand is this is not you. This is not who you are. This is your central nervous system hijacking your brain and your body and making you think that you're literally about to die, right? I'm not joking here. This is your amygdala is scanning, because your amygdala, when you have trauma and attachment insecurities, your amygdala, which is the part of your brain that looks for danger, is constantly scanning for information to support this fallacy. Give me 30 seconds. I'm going to tell you what fallacy it is. Probably can't hear me typing up there, but so this is when your brain uses a confirmation bias. So this is the tendency to search for, interpret information in a way that confirms your pre-existing belief. So because of your attachment ruptures, your insecure attachment, you have a deep-rooted in pre-existing belief that you're going to be abandoned. And when you've experienced relationships where you do get abandoned, this just doubles down on that belief, right? So your brain leans specifically towards a negativity bias, which is the natural tilt of our brain to focus on threats, criticism, worst case scenarios, things like that. And then we start to engage in cognitive distortion. Specifically here, we're looking at mental filtering, which means we're only looking at the negative and we're not looking at the positive. And often using catastrophizing, which is assuming that the worst possible outcome is going to happen. The logical fallacy here is the confirmation bias, right? So our amygdala is searching with a confirmation bias for evidence that we're going to be abandoned. So any slight, just tiny, teeny, little off-putting information picked up by our amygdala is going to trigger our anxious attachment. So when that happens, what do you feel, right? Here comes the somatic system. For me, I often feel like my heart is racing. Like I literally just ran a mile, but I'm just sitting on the couch. My breathing is shallow. I'm not thinking about it often. I might be grinding my teeth. I usually realize I'm grinding my teeth or clenching my jaw when I start to get a headache. My thoughts start racing. This is massively made worse by the fact that I have autism and ADHD, because when my thoughts start to race, my ADHD and autism hyperfixation goes into overdrive on, oh no, save me, the world is ending. So I really struggle with that. And then it feels like, your stomach just drops, like, on a roller coaster and you hit that first hill. Your partner doesn't even have to do anything wrong. They just have to take an extra 30 seconds to respond to something, or they have to forget to say goodbye before they leave, or maybe they didn't say good morning like they normally do. And suddenly, your whole world is ending. Your nervous system doesn't care that they're in a meeting that occupied their brain. Your nervous system already says they're halfway out the door. This is not a you problem. You didn't do this to yourself. Here's some things I wish that somebody would have told me when I was learning about this stuff. You are not too much. Your constant thinking that you're going to be abandoned, that's not you. You are loved and you are valued exactly as you are. You're not too much, you're not too little. You're just enough. You are not your attachment. You are not your anxiety. These are things that are put upon you, and your power is that you choose how to respond to them. The power that you hold here is the power of choice. You're not broken. You're beautiful. You're handsome. You're amazing. You're kind. You're empathetic. You are one of a kind. You're a whole ass human that deserves the world. And just because you feel like this doesn't make you less worthy. You deserve the world. You deserve happiness. You deserve love. And you're going to get it. You're not too much. We all know somebody who's anxiously attached. In our friendships, it might be the person who's always planning things and apologizing for everybody else's mistakes. At work, it's that one person who's constantly overachieving and they just cannot stop because they need the praise. In romantic relationships, it's your person who is spiraling because their partner didn't message them back. And every single silence is rejection and abandonment. Sometimes it might be worthy to remind yourself they didn't ghost you, they just took a nap. But to your anxious nervous system, that nap feels like the audition for ghosting. Anxious attachment is hard, but it gives you some pretty amazing strengths. People who are anxiously attached are passionate and loyal, deeply empathetic, and emotionally intuitive. But to others, they're often seen as clingy, over-functioning, over-giving. Internally, they have difficulty setting boundaries because if you set a boundary and somebody doesn't like it, then they're going to leave you. If I don't take care of them, they'll leave me. But I'm tired. I'm tired of giving and giving and giving and never getting back. I'm tired of loving so hard just to be told I'm too much. I'm burnt out. Anxious attachers are incredible at giving care. But we usually forget that loving doesn't have to be earned. I have a story for you about when I realized I was anxiously attached. It's kind of a silly one. Not really. Back in the day when I was friends with my ex-best friend Tila, I used to do everything I could to make sure that she was not going to leave me. She was my world. I loved that woman. I miss her. She used to take advantage of my kindness and of my anxiousness, often asking me to do things like watch her kids so she could go out with other people, all the while leaving me hanging and assuming that our friendship was just fine. When I was sitting there and begging for the same level of attention she was giving to other people. I remember one day, it was right after Easter. Things had not been going well, and she asked me to watch her kids for her so she could go out. And through a lot of difficulty, I had decided I was going to set a boundary with her. And I said, I do not feel like watching your kids, so you can go out and hang out with other people after what happened this weekend. And what I feel is that you blew me off. And I felt emboldened and empowered in setting this boundary. But instantly, I became anxious that she was going to leave me. She was going to abandon me. I wasn't going to be of value to her anymore. And to my luck, she so happened to be a narcissist. So what happened when I set a boundary? I got punished by her, telling me that I was trying to control her, that I just knew that if I didn't watch her kids, she couldn't do anything, and I wanted to be the only person in her life. And then she deleted and blocked me on social media. Talk about trauma. Whew, man. We all have those fears that when we do things like set boundaries, the people we love are going to leave us. And yeah, let's be real. The relationship isn't everything we've built it up to be in our head. Then when we set a boundary, it's a real possibility that they might leave. It's a real possibility that you no longer being the one to do all the work will make them decide they don't want to be involved, because what's the benefit to them? And if that happens, I am sorry, baby. I am sorry if that happens to you, because I know it hurts. But the truth of the matter is, the question I ask myself every time this happens to me: do I really want to be friends with somebody who only wanted to be my friend because of what I could do for them, not what they could do for me? That's my reason for changing, for growth, for boundaries. I started to ask myself things like, where do I feel like I have to perform in order to be loved? Do I measure my self-worth based on what I give? Have I made my entire identity what I can do for other people? So we've talked about what it is, and we've talked about how it impacts us. We've talked about the benefits and the costs. But the reality is that nobody deserves to live in the roller coasters of ups and downs. Nobody deserves to live in that space. So how do you fix it? Well, regulation is the first step. So co-regulation is a tool that we use as young children who have not yet learned how to regulate. It's when your toddler gets triggered and you sit and hold them in your lap and you help them process the emotions together. By being calm, they become calm, and then you can help them to move through the emotions. Co-regulation as an adult can be very similar and very helpful. But ultimately, in order to move from an insecure attachment phase in anxiousness, you have to learn how to self-regulate. This could mean doing things like riding the wave so that you are not instantly acting on your anxiousness. It could mean putting your phone in the freezer so you don't respond. It means practicing boundaries, saying no without apologizing or explaining. You don't have to say yes to something that doesn't fill your bucket. It looks like taking 30 seconds and practicing breathing exercises. It looks like going and telling your truth. It looks like giving yourself the love that you're looking for instead of expecting it from other people. It's realizing that you don't have to prove yourself in order to receive love. Love is not earned, it's given. Attachment is a muscle. The more you give in to the anxious attachment, the more of a hold it has on you. And the more you exercise the secure attachment, the stronger it gets. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to practice. So, here's a couple of more things you can do to help regulate and self-regulate. So, breath work stimulates the vagus nerve. You can do box breathing, which is, you can use any number. We typically start with 4. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, start over. I personally like to do what my therapist taught me is called 7-11 breathing. You breathe in for 7 seconds and you exhale for 11. I'm going to do one of those right now. Instantly, my body feels calmer. You do that for 5, 6, 7 repetitions, and your central nervous system starts to regulate itself. You can ground your body by planting both feet on the floor and noticing where your body meets the earth. You can engage in practices like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Reset your somatic nervous system by shaking out your arms and legs or stomping your feet. This literally discharges the energy from your body. You know, science tells us energy is neither created nor destroyed. So in order for us to move that energy through our body, we have to do things to expel that energy from us. Shaking our legs and arms, dancing, stomping our feet, those are all things that dispel energy. Stretch or press your back into the wall for a sense of containment. Splash cold water on your face or hold a cold compress over your neck. Cozy up in a nice soft blanket. And start using self-talk. Instead of playing into the things in your brain that says they're pulling away, I did something wrong, say things like, this is my nervous system talking, not the truth. Connection is built over time, not in one text. If they're triggered, you can say, this is about their nervous system, not mine. I didn't do anything wrong. You know, sometimes our anxiousness gets the better of us. Here's a couple of things you can do to get ahead of those spirals where you text 500 times or call 400 times, prepare to break up. Insert boundaries with your phone or ways of communication. After you send that text message, put your phone down and don't hover. Insert new rituals, like if you're waiting for a reply, then make some tea, light a candle, go for a walk. Distract your brain because your brain can't focus on what you're distracting it with and the anxiety. It has to pick one. I know that anxious reactions feel like they're automatic because they start in your nervous system, but you're not powerless. You can literally use your body to tell your brain, I'm safe. Breathe slower, move your body, ground your feet, splash cold water. These tiny cues signal your vagus nerve to calm things down. And while anxiety might start automatically, regulation is a skill that you can practice with a purpose. If you feel like you recognized yourself in this episode, welcome, my fellow overgiver. And don't worry, I'll triple text you a reminder that you're enough. Because if I can remind myself, I can remind you. Next time, we're going to talk about avoidant attachment. These are the lone wolves of the world who make anxious attachers twitch because they actually like their space. But that's all we have for today. So, like me, your challenge is this: unmask, untangle yourself, and shine your weird into the world like a beacon. Until next time, stay weird.